And we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those of you still on the fence that are figuring it out. We are live. Welcome back to Derailed, courtesy of Arcaicskidz. I am your host, Arcaicskidz, and I have a very special guest for you today, the hairy-chested Libertarian. Paul, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Just enjoying a lovely evening all the way up here in Napanee, Indiana. Here for about another week and a half, and then I head home to the good old country of Texas.
Nice. And I like how you put that, country of Texas.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Last election, I think we were 2 votes away from secession.
This time we'll do it.
This time, fingers crossed. With luck.
Nice. So you, we're gonna talk right quick. You have a new book coming out. Why don't you tell people about that?
Yeah, so I've got a new book coming out. I don't have the exact date yet, but I'm hoping it'll be shortly before summer. It's called Drosselmeyer: Curse of the Rat King. If you're familiar with the Nutcracker, like the famous ballet by Tchaikovsky, it is kind of a prequel to that. A prequel to that sets up why the Nutcracker has to happen. Short story. I guess dance in the Nutcracker. I'm not a great dancer. I'm more of an actor. And they needed an actor, not a dancer, so I got to play the character Drosselmeyer. He's the wizard that starts it out. A lot of companies call him Uncle Drosselmeyer. Some people call him Father Drosselmeyer. I went with the uncle routine. Anyway, it kind of follows him from a young boy learning wizardry, and I started it. I actually wrote the first words on the first day of 15 to Flatten the Curve, if you remember that.
369 days ago.
Pretty much. So started that, and it was going to be a short story. I didn't, none of us really knew what the whole Corona thing was happening. I have a general distrust of government anyway. So I was like, but whatever. I'll take 15 days off. Instead of writing music, I'll write a book, because it was something going around in my mind. And as I started writing it, the themes in it really were, evil triumphs until one person stands up and says no. I do a lot of work just outside counseling and speaking in clinics and that sort of a thing on abuse, more specifically spiritual abuse or church abuse. And so this whole power differential type of thing really speaks strongly. So anyway, my book has a lot to do with that. It's for ages 13 and up, some darker themes, but for the most part, evil triumphs until one person stands up and says no.
I mean, if Cardi B can put on her performance on national television, your book's probably for like 3 and up at this point. We don't even know.
Yeah. I don't see how anyone could clutch pearls at this point.
Right on, man. I look forward to reading it when it comes out. Do you have other books as well that you've done?
I've written a couple other, but none for public consumption. So this will be my very first.
So no would have been the answer.
Why would I say just a simple no when I?
Because simplicity is I don't know, what was that stupid term? Simplicity makes life easy.
Simplicity is for losers.
Welcome to the Libertarian Party.
Exactly.
All right, man. We're gonna talk these commie bastards trying to take our guns away.
I mean, they're gonna have a hard time taking mine away. Unfortunately, I lost mine in a boating accident.
Yeah,
so I'm
a bitch.
I'm completely gunless right now. But if I had them, if I did have them, this is when I heard about the headline that just came out today in Forbes about this Ninth Circuit the Ninth Circuit judges were saying, sure, we can, let's just make this a thing, just walk in, grab them, please come walk in and grab them.
Yeah. Don't need a warrant. You can just, sure.
Right. So normally, back in the day, everyone would just say, no, that's crazy, because we have this thing called the Constitution. And I remember for quite a while when I was a conservative, I betted very heavily on the Constitution, And that was the thing I was trying to conserve, I guess. And then it kind of became apparent that nobody cares about it. Nobody
No, they
really,
don't give a shit.
I mean, yeah, people have not cared about this for like 4 years after 1776. So basically, it's, but
Nailed it.
it goes back to this theme. The reason they're doing it is because they're more powerful, and powerful people from all of history have always tried to step on the weak until
Right.
someone who is weak stands up and says, no, you can't
Right.
do that.
Right. Your book.
It's my book. It's my book. See, it's timely. It's universal. Everybody buy a copy. But
Right. Have you had an opportunity to read or investigate any of this HR 187 shit?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, woo! Jock about trying to take guns away from the poors. That's what they're after.
Well, yeah, and what gets me, especially when, every time there's some sort of mass shooting, and of course, my heart grieves for the victims. It is senseless. It shouldn't happen. Um, but they're always calling, more gun regulations, more laws, more this, more that. And even though it sounds like a meme, because you see it on a meme, you can't make killing someone any more illegal than it already is.
Exactly.
And someone who wants a gun to do something bad is going to get it, like laws be damned kind of a thing. So
Weird. Criminals don't follow laws? That's odd.
I just learned this week that they do not.
Okay.
I know. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Where I forget, it was sometime earlier this week. I think it was, I forget what came up in the news. And, one of these idiot blue checks said something about, we need a law with stronger, wording on, I think it was killing someone with hanging someone with a noose. It was something really, I was like, outside of maybe the state of Alabama, I don't think that's happened for over 100 years anywhere.
And if you live in Alabama and you're watching this, suck it, because it's probably true.
So I went to high school in the Panhandle of Florida, which is some places is basically South Alabama. But let me tell you, when you cross the...
I had Jeremy Todd on 2 days ago, and he grew up in Alabama, so you're welcome, Jeremy.
Yeah, Alabama. God bless you. Alabama people, I will say that if anyone is going to save us from the gun grabbers,
Alabama.
It will be the Alabama boys, and they are going to run out there with a breakfast of Bud Light and Jimmy drinks, and they're going to stinking mow down the entirety of whoever's coming to get it. That will be the Alabama boys. And Florida people are just going to be like, where's my meth? That's basically how this is going to go down.
Well, since we're on since we're going after every state, that's fantastic. So when I said that HR 187 is basically going to price the poors out of owning firearms, there's some nonsense in this thing. And now I'm not saying I do or don't own any firearms, but let's say hypothetically that I did.
Sure.
Then based on HR 187, if it was to pass, for me to be compliant with the law, hypothetically, if I owned any firearms, it would cost me $61,000.
So clue me in, and whoever is listening and doesn't know HR 181.
So okay, it's a gun grabber bill, in my opinion, from a congresswoman from Texas.
Ooh.
Fuck, I don't remember her name.
Okay.
She's some piece of shit. Who cares?
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. It'll be.
I think she's out of Austin or whatever.
Say, well, Austin, that's barely Texas, but yeah.
It's barely Texas, right in the middle, but whatever.
Barely Texas.
But basically what it does is it requires a firearms license for every single firearm that you own that's a semi-automatic. So I guess if it's not a musket, you're pretty screwed at this point, or bolt action, I suppose. But needless to say, it's $200 for each one of those. It has to be federally licensed. you have to go through a background check for every one of them that you own.
That you already own.
Yes, yes. And you have to carry $800 annual insurance. It'll be $800 a year for each fucking one of them. So, like I said, hypothetically, if I owned any,
sure,
it would cost me $61,000 to become compliant and upwards of $40,000 a year.
Just out of curiosity, who's going to enforce this?
I don't know. Fuck them. I lost all my shit in a boat.
So this is my question. I was just talking to someone 2 days ago. They were a police officer, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, when all of this comes out, because one of my biggest complaints with the police officer situation as it stands now is they're hiring a lot from the military."
No, they're not. Not anymore.
Not anymore?
No, fuck no.
Okay. Well, down in Texas, it's very common to have.
Well, in Texas, they probably do. Texas is like its own country.
Right. But they're getting, it's a lot of people in the military and then going into police work. And we're seeing more military-style training for the police, which one of the hallmarks of military training is when we say jump, you don't even get to say how high. Like, you just get up and stay until we go down. It's a lot of this, you do what you're told and you don't question authority. And what scares me about that is police are now are quite an invasive species on just our regular rights. Not all of them. I think when you get into
a lot.
Yeah, when you get into small town America, where the police are more connected with their community, many of them great people. I have a personal police friend who I used to have breakfast with, and I used to talk to him about this because he knew my politics. He was more Republican, I didn't fault him too much for that. But I did say, so what happens if you're told to do something unconstitutional? And he said, well, I can tell you, me and over half the force, we would turn our badges in. That remains to be seen. But
is that true? Because COVID, I think, proved that's not true.
Well,
how many of them turned their badges in? Almost none. They all just fucking did it. They're like, yeah, I mean, obviously, of course, you can't have people in your restaurant. You fucking peasant. Do as you're told.
Well, so that's what scared me. I saw a lot of this kind of stuff happening in big city. In the smaller city where I live in Texas, it was funny. We had a mayor. He was like a pretty boy mayor. Like, we're talking Gavin Newsom. Like, he's got his Instagram. His wife is Insta hot. He plays guitar.
What is Insta hot? I'm sorry.
Insta
We're derailed. What is Insta hot?
Insta hot, like where you're hot enough to take off your shirt on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, carry back to you. Sorry.
Anybody can get nude on Instagram. That's a Twitter thing.
Well, actually, technically, anybody can. Just,
Yeah, I think it would break the IG algorithms if unhot got on there. Anyway, so he owns a guitar shop and he's just like shredding. I mean, the guy is playing 90s alt rock kind of stuff. And he just imposed some of the most draconian measures you could ever imagine. Well, we also have a county judge who is...
Yeah, because Texas is weird, just for all of you that are going to watch this.
Right. So our county judge is badass. And he came out and he's like, yeah, you don't have to follow anything this guy says. It's So you had all of the shops would have signs on their windows like, if you want to wear face masks, that's fine, but we understand there are health issues, so we're not going to talk to you. So you would see actually quite a few people wore them. A lot of us didn't. Like, it was never required. I would go into any of the shops that I wanted to. My usual cafe stayed open the entire time. So I would walk in, sit down, and one person came up and talked to me. She thought that they were going to get fined for me not wearing it. And I showed her the judge's order. And I was like, y'all are good. And she was like, oh, okay. Whoop.
Yeah, you're safe, man.
Basically, our downtown gave the mayor a middle finger. But that is not the case. yeah, our rights were violated, and the police, by and large, especially in big cities, were more than happy to stomp on the necks of people who just wanted to live. Like, they didn't understand. These were all executive orders. They were pretty pleases. That was it. It was a
Yeah,
pretty.
like no. Look, I don't care if Congress passes a law. A law is only as good as the people that enforce it.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a prairie unicorn rainbow because it doesn't mean dick if you don't have someone that enforces this thing.
Right.
So if these police go, well, that shit's dumb, I don't want to do that. There is no law.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, back to the gun law, HR
187.
HR 187 is it just she put it up? Has it passed?
Oh, they're gonna debate it. Because, obviously some white supremacist who also happens to be Muslim shot up a place in Boulder, Colorado the other day. And then prior to that, some fucking retarded little normie shot up some Asians because he had a sex addiction, apparently. And so now they have to, like, throw a bitch fit and, like, try to ban weapons. Of course.
The one, so I get the Syrian, the guy that shot up Colorado.
The white supremacist.
Right, yes. One, I will say, having lived in the Middle East for a little while, well, so they kept saying, I've heard that he had a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah.
Which, again, having lived in the Middle East for a while, it's very difficult to tell the difference between typical Middle Eastern behavior and mental health issues. Just as culture.
Uh-oh.
But
sorry, YouTube.
Oh, yeah, no, fight me on this one.
No, I agree with you, man. I know what you're talking about.
No, so and again, this is what gets me, is they're able to use, it's a storytelling technique. They're able to take this very emotional, emotionally driven narrative because it hits the news so hard. Less than 100 people a year die from mass shootings. Now,
yes,
I'm not insta hot. I wouldn't take off my shirt. I do enjoy fitness. Went out, worked out today, trying to stay as lean and as healthy as possible. So health means something to me. I would be more fine with them banning Pringles. Like, that would be more good for the health of our nation.
Pick up a gun and put down the Twinkie.
Seriously. It's hard to double fist a Sonic slushie when you're out there at the gun range. At least save yourself some calories. I'm very. I have a feeling that I don't know if HR 187, 137,
187.
187.
Look it up.
I had it right the first time. I don't think it will pass, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. Now that they're going after the filibuster, like, they're just setting it up. But over 31 million Americans own guns.
Right. Wait, 31? Oh, that's cute. You think that's it? It's 100 million. 102 million people
seriously
own guns in America. Yes.
Okay, so my data is not current. I will say that. My data,
102 million people that own 500 million firearms.
Dang. Okay.
I'm not one of those.
No, nor am I.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying.
I have absolutely no guns, and certainly no semi-automatics.
No, of course not.
No,
not
absolutely not. Yeah, the sad part. Oh my goodness.
11 million new gun owners in 2020. Just so you know.
Are you serious? What that does surprise me. Hey, what else?
The riots and all that shit. People panicked. They were like, "Oh shit, I hate guns. I'm gonna go buy one." That's what happened.
Every time something, when the pandemic first started, I had a fleeting moment. I should buy stock in Smith & Wesson, S&W.
You should have.
I did. Oh no, it's 15 days to flatten the curve. Yeah, wow. I should have. That would have been more valuable than GameStop.
Let me tell you this about cryptocurrencies, right? And I'm not giving anyone financial advice. Don't listen to me. I'm just an idiot.
Right.
When they announced the 15 days to slow the curve, I invested in cryptocurrency.
Did you?
Because I knew this shit was going fucked like real quick.
Well, when I first heard about it, of course, I got on my libertarian high horse. I'm like, I don't care if it's one day to flatten the curve. You can't tell me to stay, you know.
I agreed.
And so then after the 15 days and the curve didn't flatten, like I will say, at first, if you remember when Fauci was telling us don't wear masks don't do anything, and one guy got arrested because he was hoarding masks or something. And
yep.
Of course, I was pissed about that because I'm like, if he bought them legally, he can do whatever he wants with it. And I encourage people, hey, wash your hands, because I wash my hands even when there's not a pandemic. I socially distanced before it was cool. Just, I'm kind of an introvert that way. So that stuff wasn't hard, but it was once the government switched their tune very quickly and they're like, you need to wear a mask. Again, whatever the government says to do, I typically think the opposite is probably the best course of action. And
pretty much they're screwing with you.
That's when I knew it was up. Something was up. This whole gun grabber thing, though, again, they can try, but I don't know of much that would, like, there's a lot of people that would drive a couple hundred miles to stand, like, if someone's trying to get their guns grabbed. What was it? What were the guys out in Nevada, the cattle ranchers, a couple of years back?
Son of a bitch. I gotta remember the name.
Whatever that whole thing was, like, all of
that had nothing to do with guns, though. That was the cattle thing.
But do you remember how many militia members drove out there?
And do you remember the FBI, ATF, and all those pussies left?
Oh yeah. I mean,
they were like, "Shit, we're outgunned. We don't know what the fuck to do."
So that's what I'm saying is, if they're gonna do this, they are gonna have to do it en masse, which means they would need to use the military for it. I don't think
that would be very difficult, and I can speak to that from a personal level. It would be very difficult to get the military to help you out with that one.
Right. Well, for one, a lot of them are probably going to be bombing brown people across the seas, so you'd have.
And that's important. You don't want to. You don't want to take off your mission, obviously.
Like, why should we stop war now? It's
what?
Yeah.
Are you people high? What are you doing? There's small children in Syria that we need to execute.
Right.
We can't come back and deal with guns in America. What's wrong with you people?
You want the small kids to have a normal life? What kind of a monster are y'all? This is what and on the red side of the aisle too. Like,
dude, fuck the red side. They piss me off even more than the Democrat side.
I mean, it's not like the red side started it technically.
Yes, they did.
Well,
the red side started cancel culture. They've done all this shit my entire life. It's always been these nut jobs that were like, oh well, whatever. Like, we got to go spread freedom. You don't spread freedom by dropping bombs, you idiot.
No, I was talking about the wars in general. Like, going back to Carter, who was the one that sort of started screwing everything over in the Middle East. Once he started it, though, let me tell you, the red side and the blue side, they have all just gotten their jollies, like, upping the ante.
Yep.
And
I'm a better warmonger than you.
Yeah, what is this? Is this like a size comparison contest now?
It's a dick measuring contest.
Seriously. And
who can kill more brown children? Let's find out.
More brown people, right? Oh, someone on Facebook posted some quote by Obama about, this is terrible. You can't go to a grocery store without being scared of being shot. And I
have, are you serious? You're messing with me.
I had this giant diatribe typed out about people across the seas who, like, literally could not go to.
Can't go to a wedding. They can't go to a grocery store. They can't go to a cafe.
There were even some American citizens that probably had the same fear over there, at least, for a couple seconds till the bomb went boom. And then he has the audacity, and it was him. He was the one sending it over.
They have the nerve to say this stupid shit.
Oh, but I erased it because Facebook is not where I'm political.
Dude, Facebook is a dumpster fire. I don't use Facebook. I use Facebook for Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
But other than that, it serves no purpose to me.
So I write music for a living, and I write music for basically anyone who will pay me for it.
Straight up libertarian capitalism.
Yeah, a lot of,
give me money, I'll give you music.
A lot of artists, a lot of churches. I'm getting more into the movie sphere just because it's a lot better for storytelling.
Oh God, you better hope they don't find out that you're a libertarian.
No, if I do anything for movies, I usually again.
I have a different name that I use. It's fine.
Actually, I do. It's Hans Zimmer. I don't know if you've heard of me. No. So anyway, the end theater. It's just, again, it's better storytelling. So Facebook, I'm on there to push my business, and then anytime I scroll, I have my blood pressure goes up. Like, honestly, this is awful. You expect it from Twitter. I love Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter's
a dumpster fire. That's what it's for.
But you go there knowing it's a dumpster fire. And Facebook, Facebook is just, they're like,
Facebook's supposed to be like where you can do a little business, talk to your family. Twitter is where you go to just fight with people.
Seriously, Twitter is Fight Club. And then and Facebook is like all those annoying neighbors that you have to smile and wave at. And as soon as they turn away, jerks. But yeah, I don't. They can pass this law. If the Democrats do pass this law, they're going to lose the next couple of elections.
They're going to lose anyway.
Yeah, they will. Especially like Americans. Guns are
2022 is going to be an absolute nightmare for Democrats. Republicans are going to absolutely sweep both houses of Congress. This is just guaranteed. I don't think they should. I think Libertarians should sweep through and take up a bunch of those spots. But that's not what's good. Republicans are going to just sweep this bitch.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can get some libertarian-minded people like Thomas Massey elected in there, so they can hold these bitches accountable.
Honestly, I am fine. Like, I am not so much of a purist that if it's someone who even like Justin Amash, he's got his issues. Yep. Don't get me wrong, but the man leans more libertarian.
I would take Justin Amash.
I would take Justin Amash certainly over a Mitt Romney. I mean,
Jesus Christ, I'd take Tulsi Gabbard over Mitt Romney. Not even kidding. Two reasons. One, super anti-war, super against the drug war. And, I mean, let's face facts, dude. She's insta-hot, as you described it to me.
She is smoking. And I'm a bit too sane for the Democrats. If she came over, Brandon, either an independent or even Republican, if she switched, because especially in Hawaii, she could probably pick up, she would be a Republican rock star. All she would have to do is change a couple weird little social things. But even then, the Republicans,
socialized medicine, she'd have to drop that thing.
I think the Republicans may even be willing to give on that now. They've been sort of browbeaten.
Well, yeah, because she's hot.
I'd be browbeat.
I mean, I'm just saying.
No. It was a long 2020.
Sorry, honey, if you watch this, my apologies, but she's hot.
Your wife doesn't.
No, but for real, no, my wife doesn't watch my show. She knows better. No, but there are a lot of great people out there, Republican or Democrat, and I think, and this is one of the things that I want to be one of the, the tip of the spear. I basically, Reed Coverdale, David Fite, those guys, they brought me back into the Libertarian Party. I was out after 2020. Libertarian Party's response to the COVID lockdowns was, oh my God, did I want to light that church on fire?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm kidding, YouTube. I don't mean it specifically. But I did. I was pissed. I was pissed. Yes. Metaphor. Yeah, that exactly.
Ideas lighted on fire with.
I was pissed though. But then these guys put together, this great little program, and they sucked me back in. You know what I mean?
So
But now I'm like, okay, you guys do the unity thing, and I'm on board. But on the other side, I don't care. I'm the tip of the spear. I'm going to steamroll Republicans, Democrats. Y'all want to just fucking monkey with the rules. I'm good with that. Let's do it. But I'm just going to go for broke because I don't care. I'm going to start paying for concerts, and we're going to bring in big ass bands and bring them in and do the fucking get out the vote nonsense shit that the Democrats do. I'm done. I'm done. Like, I will be the force to be reckoned with when this thing is over.
Yeah,
And the Libertarians can throw me out of the party.
So I would, yeah. Well, so I'm actually planning on getting involved politically with the Libertarian Party, not the national, but my local. Politics was never a thing I ever wanted to do.
Because it sucks.
It does, and it sucks your soul dry. But as I'm looking around Libertarian Party, one of my biggest
Uh-oh. Might have lost him for a minute. Yeah, we lost him for a minute. All right, well, as opposed to having dead air while he's getting his internet back together, we will just discuss HR 187, which is a nightmare of a bill that you all should absolutely understand will 100% steal your freedom away from you. And I don't care what they say. You have to make sure that you call your people. You tell them it's total garbage. You don't want nothing to do with it. Like, I don't even care. Like, I don't care how you do it. Just make sure you do it. Like, 100% make sure you do it. So, what's up, man? Sorry, I was trying not to have dead air.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I think something's happening with the cell signal. Yeah, all of that to say, we focused on all of the losing things of the Libertarian Party. Like, if you're a hardcore Libertarian, I get it. The whole thing, we get to smoke pot, but like, pot was never the issue, and this is one of the things that Ron Paul was so great at explaining. It has nothing to do with the pot. It has to do with bodily autonomy. You own yourself. It has to do with
I'm not going to do heroin if you make it legal.
Right. And for some reason, the Libertarian Party seemed to want to run with sex work is real work and drug users for Libertarian Party, and like all of these vices. It's like, this is not how you get people into your tent, because we're not.
No, how about we don't lock people in their houses?
Right. When you talk about the Federal Reserve and what's happening to your currency, what's happening to your children's futures, all of a sudden that starts resonating with Republicans and Democrats alike, especially if they have any sort of forward thinking ability. And
which is getting harder to find.
It is. Well, I think because the red-haired harpies get all of the playtime, or the airtime, you think that that's what they are. But honestly, most of them are fairly sane. They just think that, okay, the Democrat Party is the one that's going to solve the homeless crisis.
Because they've done such a fucking good job in all the major cities.
Because it does such a great job. But here's the thing. Libertarians we're the ones with the message. Like, we're the ones that can say, okay, let's look at the history of what the government has done, even with education. As soon as the government took over education, it's been in steady decline. Let's look at what the private market does and start explaining that, yes, we want homeless people taken care of. Yes, we want hospitalization to be the most accessible that it can. But you have to trust your fellow humans. Like, are you a good human? Is your neighbor a good human? Let's trust them. Let's try it. And once you can have that conversation and just say, if nothing else, we can't do any worse, and we're not going to have the full weight and power of the people that killed Breonna Taylor standing on our necks trying to mess this up anymore. So
Right.
that sort of messaging, taking it away from the vices that you would be allowed to do if given true bodily autonomy, I think that's where the Libertarian Party would win. Talk about the Fed, talk about the illegal search and seizure. What is it? Where they get to take your land for roads.
What? Okay. I know what you're talking about. Fuck. What do they call it?
What is that called? The domain.
Yeah, my eminent domain. That's what they call it.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's how we win. That's how we would take a landslide when ultimately the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot with this gun bill. Republicans will probably win a heyday because we're too team sport oriented. But boy, I just joined the Mises caucus.
Oh shit! You're gonna upset some people.
Hey.
They're the party of the bigots.
Of course. But one of the reasons that I did is they actually had a plan going forward.
It's three things. We're going to talk about three things, super important things.
Yes.
And let's go forward with that, and we'll deal with all the other shit in private on the back schedule. I'm absolutely 100% on board with this messaging. That's why I like what people say Dave Smith's a bigot or whatever. I guess he said mean things about transitioning people or whatever. I don't care. Like, the dude, first of all, he's a comic. He's gonna say inappropriate, stupid shit. That's his job. Right. But the bottom line is the dude is laser focused.
Oh yeah.
On his job, and you know what? I support anyone that's laser focused in their mission. I support a fucking Ilhan Omar for being laser focused in her crazy ass mission. I'm like, okay, I can at least respect the fact that she's laser focused. I think she's psychotic, but it doesn't mean that she's not focused.
So I listen to a wide variety of podcasts when I travel and come, having just driven back from Florida, I had a lot of time to listen. One of the podcasts I listen to occasionally is Glenn Beck. I'm not.
I like Glenn Beck. I think he's pretty okay.
He's an okay guy. I think he's got a great heart. I would certainly sit down and have a beer with him. But the
problem is he's Mormon, so obviously,
that whole crazy thing. Okay, but I gotta say, the dude has a freaking hilarious show. And they had Ilhan Omar, a clip of her saying something stupid, and they had bumper music for her, and it's the Muppet. They had this Muppet song, Ilhan Omar, do 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 do, Ilhan Omar, do 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 do. I was scream laughing in my car, and every time I see her, you better believe the thing that runs through my head is going to be Ilhan Omar. And mana.
That's it, man. That's how it goes. One of my favorite things was when Glenn Beck came out and he said, "Oh, I'm a libertarian now," and the Libertarian Party was like, "Now," and I'm like, "Why?" He's a huge person. Go and explain to him where he's wrong on other shit. Like, that's it. Like, bring him in. He's a big name. Why do you want to consistently tell people that they suck? Like, that's dumb.
At least, okay, he says he's libertarian. Awesome. Someone from the party reach out and say, let's talk about the tenets. Because the thing is, Glenn Beck, for all of his issues, like, the man reads a lot. So it's possible that had we shown him some...
He has one of the biggest constitutional museums on planet Earth.
Yeah. And... so it's like the same thing. Whenever Ben Shapiro says that he's libertarian, like, dude, you are one of the biggest statists on, like, how
Ben Shapiro is as much of a libertarian as Ilhan Omar is.
Seriously, and Ben Shapiro is sharp. He's
he's a smart guy.
I will listen to his podcast too. Because he's at least consistent in how he breaks things down. But that's about where it stops.
And then it's like, okay, that was fun. We're done. Now that we understand Bitcoin.
Right, right. And I think the biggest thing is when he was like he just trusts the government implicitly on everything. Yeah,
Only Republicans.
sure. And he's like, go out and get the vaccination. Okay, like I am not an anti-vaxxer by any stretch of the imagination, but
I'm not getting that shit.
this is a brand new like they're screwing
I'm gonna
over
wait. I'm gonna
everything.
wait. If it doesn't kill all the olds and the poors, then I'll go get it.
No, I'm giving it like 2 years because I want to see the people.
That's what it'll take 2 years to kill all the olds and the poors.
Well, it's going to take 2 years for people to grow their fins and their gills too.
Exactly. And I don't want to.
So normal,
Of course, we mean the polio vaccine. YouTube, calm down.
dude, I had the dreaded vid back this last Thanksgiving. Some idiot gave it to me.
Oh, well, then you're fine. You don't need that shit.
Well, that's what I keep when people ask me because I don't wear masks anywhere. So when I walk in, if anyone approaches me, I'll have people like with masks reach out, like kind of like, can I shake your hand? Can I not? If we're talking, and I'll say, you don't have to worry. I've been vaccinated, which I haven't gotten the Fauci ouchie. What a dumbass name. But I'm like, I've been vaccinated God style.
God vaccinated me.
And who do you trust more, God or Fauci?
That's not a good thing to ask these people.
Most of them probably would.
These blue pill people would be like, God's not real. Like, okay. All right, fair enough. Like,
yeah,
okay.
fair enough there. Anyway,
make your stupid fucking argument, whatever. I had Reed and John Lohner last night, who ran for Congress in Utah, and they said something about God not being real, and I was like, "Hey, you're on my channel, knock it off."
So I grew up in a very religious. Before we get back onto the Ilhan Omar or
this show is called Derailed. We just derail. We don't care.
So I was raised very conservatively. My dad's a Baptist preacher. I was raised in the fundamental Baptist world. Anyone who's listening who knows, we were not KJV.
I grew up Baptist.
Okay.
So I know.
Anyway, yeah. So I went to a very conservative Christian college, and my last year there, just a whole bunch of things led up to, I became an atheist. And I was an atheist for several years while I was just trying to figure everything out, and then eventually came back to the faith. And now I'm a Reformed Presbyterian, and in like a very conservative Presbyterian, which, to most Baptists, they might doubt my salvation at this point. But all of that
snake charmer.
Whenever I get to talk to atheists, and I have several atheist friends on Twitter, if they're open to a real conversation about atheism, there really is a fascinating conversation to go through with why they think God doesn't exist, if it's something that they have put any thought into it. Now, like some of these idiots that are just like, it's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale. And that's as far as they get. Trust the science. Trust the science.
Okay.
Okay.
That.
What science? Like,
wear your mask. You'll be safe.
Yeah. Like if anything, the science and the scientists should probably prove.
Have you ever noticed that the majority of atheists were raised religious?
I don't doubt it. Again, like I said, I do a lot of talks on spiritual abuse, and the church, especially the American church, the American church went militant. Like it started to run very much like the military. It also, the way that they set up the polity of the church, it really does attract power-hungry people. It's very political in that.
Like politics, weird.
Right, exactly. And powerful people do anything to protect their power. And that means anyone who comes in who's imperfect or threatens the image of the church, they're going to go after him. Well, the Bible, this was nothing new. The Bible is very clear about wolves in sheep's clothing, and oftentimes the wolf stands behind the pulpit. I will say that. So here's a lot of people that were in the church as young people. They're making mistakes like young people do. And then they have the entirety of this abusive church structure come down on them. They don't know Christ outside of the church. Like the church is the representation of Christ to them. And I don't blame them for saying, of course there's no God. It comes out of a lot of hurt, a lot of times, not all the time,
Yeah.
but a lot of these atheists have been hurt very deeply by the church, and that's where the atheism comes from. So they're more agnostic than atheist, but it has nothing to do with does God exist or not.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do to people is when they say God's not real, I go, are aliens real? And very often they'll go, well, I mean, mathematically, it's probable. And I'm like, okay, you're a fucking idiot.
That was actually what brought me back to the faith. I read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis.
Yes, C.S. Lewis, man.
Yeah.
Who could have figured that C.S. Lewis is going to bring more people back to it than take them away?
I'm telling you, it was years where I was kind of like, well, God is more probable. It's more probable that God exists and he is who he says he is. And that's a stepping stone. It's not a great place to live, but it was a stepping stone that brought me back. So yeah, it's a great conversation for anyone who wants to have a conversation about it. But militant atheists, they're like CrossFit vegans. They're absolutely insufferable.
Yeah, I when I run into as you put it, CrossFit vegans, when I run into them on like Twitter or whatever, I send them pictures of my pigs and chickens, which are, there's an end.
Dude, I used to live in Iowa. My dad was pastor of a church in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. And we had, farm community all around it. I moved there from Orlando. So if you can imagine going from Disney World, where animals friend and they talk to you, to Iowa, where you kill them and eat them, I had no clue where meat came from. I thought through plastic packages. I didn't know. You just go to that store and the meat is there. And the farmers down the road would invite us to a chicken dinner. Okay, I like chicken, like at McDonald's. So we went down there, and part of the evening was killing the chicken, stripping the feathers off. And those little guys bounce around after you chop their necks off. So here I am, this innocent third, fourth grader, fresh off of Fern Gully, who's like, traumatized me.
That's hilarious.
What was even worse is the other farmer that invited us over for Rocky Mountain oysters. I didn't eat them because I don't like seafood, but my I'm telling you, farmers, you guys have the weirdest seafood out there. I've never like that.
I've never had a Rocky Mountain oyster, and I grew up on a farm.
Well,
that's not something that we did in my. We were like, nope, those things go in the dumpster. We actually technically fed them to the chickens. So there's that.
I mean, I just want to know what person was like, I'll cut that off and fry it and eat it.
A hungry person. Someone that said that I don't have anything to be wasted. We can't waste it. We have to take everything. That's what happened.
I have to imagine that they had the entire rest of the animal. Like, it was
probably, but do you know what yeasted herring is?
Yeasted herring? Is it like
yeasted herring?
Is it like surströmming or something?
No. It's a herring, the fish, right? You pull it out of the ocean.
Yeah.
The Swedes are all about. Well, basically the Nordic countries are all about it. They can it. Think of it like canned tuna, but rotten.
Okay. Yeah, like surströmming.
Yeah. So basically, I think it comes down to habits are formed historically to remind people of the hardship that they left, right? Of what they don't have to face. And I think that's what it comes down to with things like Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah, well, it was a great reminder, and I never ate them. Probably never will if I can help it.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I've never done it, and I never will. We were never that poor. It's okay.
Yeah, but I will say, you want to talk about something that will make you a libertarian? You own a small family farm, and when you see what kind of what kind of taxes happen for people who are trying to be self-sufficient, and this kind of goes back to the whole gun thing from the beginning of the conversation. Our government is absolutely terrified of us, and I think
Yeah.
it's very real when you start seeing barbed wire surrounding the Capitol. They're scared of us. They think, like, they understand that they have poked the bear too much. Now, right now, for the most part, everyone is fairly calm, um, but
But that could change in a heartbeat.
but there's tension. If they come after the guns, I think that's when we are going to see true bloodshed. And
Do
honestly,
you think that's why they have the fences and the National Guard around Washington? Because they knew they were going to come after the guns?
well, no, I think
And
that
they knew that's like the straw?
no, I honestly I believe that that's all part of, that's just, they're just trying to paint a narrative. Like, that's movie set right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, it's fake. It's movie set. It's a story.
But they might need them.
Eventually they will, but honestly, that's probably not going to stop a galloping horde of people coming
Yeah,
coming
no, because it's
towards.
going to be the straight up Hunger Games.
Well, and honestly, not the again, let's just go into hypothetical land. If people were going to be smart about how they approached this situation, they wouldn't actually go after the politicians, because the politicians are feckless. Like, they can't
Yeah,
do
they're
anything.
useless. You don't need them.
They need to, I'm going to say this as a business sense, they need to start getting people into the media. It's the media that they've got to take back. The media is what influences people, because the media tells the story. So if you're going to make any difference, you have to take command of the story. The book that I just wrote, let's go back to me. The book that I
Yes,
wrote
sir.
basically is one person who stands up and says no.
Right.
No chance of winning per se, but it's the right thing to do. You have to stand up and say no. And the powerful are always going to step on the weak. That's the story. That's the narrative. That's what we're seeing. Powerful people, the government is stepping on the weak, because they've got the media that's saying, look, they've got barbed wire. Look, they have a whole bunch of army. They've got all of this strength, but it's gilded. Everyone in the military, they're people. They're people with family. They're people with a connection to us. And when the time comes, I don't think a whole ton of them are going to turn their barrels on their fellow citizens. But this
I half disagree and half agree. I think there are some that are just gonna do what they're told. I think the problem lies, and there are half that are go, I'm not gonna shoot my parents. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
right.
And they're going to cause a fucking problem.
So yeah, let me clarify that. The way, like, as it stands, I don't think that many of them would. The way that you get the military to turn guns on people is if you control the story, if you control the narrative, and you can paint all of these radical supremacists.
They're all white
they're carrying
supremacists.
guns, and they're coming after you. They're coming after the people you've sworn to protect. I don't know that the barbed wire fences are necessarily for us.
Oh, it's for them.
They again, they have to convince the people with the guns. They have to convince the law enforcement that we're a threat.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they get them to come.
Yeah, and that's going to be real difficult when you've had these guys and gals sitting there for months for no fucking reason. We're just like, what are we doing? Okay, I don't know. Are you familiar with the Lotus Eaters podcast?
Uh-uh.
Okay, Carl Benjamin. It's out of England. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a British podcast, but it's really great, and they do a lot of stuff on the American end. They talk about America because, I mean, obviously we're awesome.
Right.
So
we are
they
the
have
hot country.
We're the Insta hot country, exactly. But we have, or they have, a National Guardsman who updates them daily.
Okay.
About what's going on in Washington D.C. Right.
Nice.
And he recently, I guess he asked a lieutenant colonel who was going around with the troops or whatever, and asked him like, "Hey, do we know what we're doing here?" And they were like, "Not really. Like, we're just kind of whatever." And he goes, "What happens if a horde of Americans come and try to take Washington? Like, what do we do?" And he goes, "Oh, we're all going to die." That was his response.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay, well, I mean,
yeah, they would need something like that to convince the military to do it. And I say convince the military. At some point, they're just going to be able to drone everything.
Yeah.
And it won't be
little package drones.
as we've seen, everybody tends towards compliancy. Not everybody, but the majority of America tends towards compliancy. So it's really hard to say where this goes. The gun thing would be, I think, of any issue, grabbing our guns would be the thing that makes those of you who own guns, lucky you.
Yeah. Those of you few out there.
Yes. That would make them rise up and say, yeah, because the Second Amendment is part of our DNA. So
it's built in. I think it's biological at this point.
Right. That's where I think it gets into issue. But I am really hoping that it gets shot down and the Libertarian Party has one more shot to tell its message. And I'm really hoping that someone sane can be in charge of proclaiming that message. Because honestly, I don't know. Like, I think your centrist Democrats and your centrist Republicans are going to be awfully tired of both parties.
It's a uniparty. They're Republicans.
Right. I mean, we know that they're basically the same people. They just want to spend our money on different things. So yeah.
No, they want to spend our money on the same things. They just want to argue about it.
Right. You know, you have a good. I was about to say, actually, both of them are spending a lot of our money on war. It's just on the home front. The Democrats want to spend it more on like touchy-feely programs, and the Republicans want to spend it more on like
blowing shit up.
Whatever. Yeah, even blowing shit up here. Whatever.
But Democrats like to blow shit up too. So there's that.
They do. They love it. I mean, look at this summer. Yeah. They were blowing stuff up left and right out there.
Oh man. Okay. We're gonna probably have to save this one for our next conversation. But this is something to think about. Derek Chauvin's trial is starting. They've seated all 14 jurors now. That's the 12 jurors and then the 2 alternates or whatever.
Yep.
Dude, Minneapolis is going to burn. Doesn't matter. They're going to burn that bitch to the ground.
But there are so few people living there anymore.
I mean, anyone smart or anyone that had like $14 in their pocket and get a bus ticket.
Exactly.
Like,
they are moving out.
Yep. Yeah, but it's not just Minneapolis, though. I've been trying to tell people, man, if you live in a major city, you better either 1, get your shit ready, or 2, get the hell out, because this shit is gonna light up this year, and I believe that 100%. So, and especially when that cop walks for killing George Floyd, but I don't actually, whatever. I don't have an opinion whether he killed him or didn't kill him. Okay,
right.
But I will say this: I don't think he's going to jail for killing him, and this shit's gonna blow up.
Yeah, it's
gonna explode.
He won't. And every major business that has friends with guns, stand outside. Just
outside. Rooftop Korean, baby. Dude, let's get to it.
Get them. That's
Because the police proved last year they're fucking useless, right? They proved it.
not
Where were they? Where were they to protect these people?
only useless, they were helping the people. Yeah, it was crazy. But we will, yeah,
Exactly.
we'll save that for the next conversation.
That's for next time. That's for the next
Yeah.
time. So we're gonna go ahead and end it up here. This has been a great conversation. Why don't you tell everyone what you got going on, where they can find you? Obviously, get your grift, of course, and then you have a book coming out. Let's talk about that again, right quick.
I have a book, so when it comes out, follow me. First of all, follow me on Twitter.
It's down there on the thing.
Oh, awesome! Hairy-chested Libertarian. That's what's up. You can also find me if you're part of any community group that does music. My gig, I write custom arrangements. I also sell sheet music, and my website, I'm hoping, should be up any time soon now, but it's usually when it's up, it is houseoflelmusic.com. And then you can also find me at YouTube, PT Superman. That's my handle on YouTube, but Twitter is where I'm the most fun.
Nice. Very good, man. Yeah. I've super enjoyed this, man. It's been a great time, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Call me anytime you need a guest. I love talking.
Oh, of course I will, man. I appreciate